This is the iSpring RCC7P-AK. It turned my tap from something I tolerated into water I actually look forward to drinking, with steady flow and clean taste no matter what my house water pressure is doing. I'd put this in the under-sink reverse osmosis category, but with a twist. It's the RO system I'd recommend to anyone who's had trouble with low water pressure, to anyone who hated the flat taste of typical RO, and to anyone trying to replace bottled water for the whole household without babysitting a slow faucet. If you care about taste and consistency as much as contaminant reduction, this setup is aimed right at you. The design is familiar but refined. 3 vertical pre-filter housings sit up front, and the first one is clear, which sounds like a small thing until you glance at it after a month and see exactly how much sediment it caught. Up top, the RO membrane and the 2 inline post filters, one for polishing and one for remineralization, run horizontally, which keeps the overall footprint tidy. There's a dedicated faucet with clean lines that looks like it belongs next to a kitchen sink rather than like an afterthought. The included hardware makes mounting straightforward, and the faucet's top-mounted design saved me from contorting under the sink for too long. Color-coded tubing and push-to-connect fittings remove a lot of guesswork. I only needed a couple wraps of Teflon tape on the threaded bits and a firm hand to seat the tubes fully past the O-rings. There's an electric booster pump in the mix and a small power brick. If you don't have an outlet under your sink, plan for that ahead of time. The storage tank is the unsung hero here. It takes up cabinet space, but it turns a slow, high-quality trickle into on-demand flow that actually feels like tap water. Setup took me part of an afternoon. I'm comfortable with basic plumbing, and that's basically what this is. Cold water feed adapter, drain saddle, faucet hole if you don't have one, and a few runs of tubing. The only finicky moments were making sure every tube was pushed in far enough to clear the O-ring, and aligning the drain saddle so the hole in the rubber gasket lined up with the drilled hole. If a connection isn't fully seated, the system lets you know right away, with a drip the moment you pressurize it. Once I got the runs tidy and the pump plugged in, I flushed several tanks to clear carbon fines and the fresh plastic taste. After that, the water tasted clean and neutral. The pump comes on with a gentle hum, stops when the tank is full, and stays silent until you draw water again. In daily use, I don't think about it at all. I hear it for a few minutes after filling a large pot. Then it disappears into the background. The core performance is why I kept this system installed. The RO membrane, helped by the booster pump, consistently brings my high mineral tap down to very low TDS, and the alkaline filter brings back a touch of minerals for taste. With a basic TDS meter, my incoming water averages around the mid-200s. The water coming straight out of the membrane sits in the teens or low 20s, and after the remineralization filter it nudges up slightly, which lines up with what I taste. It's not flat, like typical RO. It has a crisp, rounded profile that reminds me of a light mineral water. Chlorine odor and strange aftertastes are gone. My kettle stopped building white crust almost entirely, and coffee and tea taste more focused and less muddy. Flow is the other big win. Before this, during peak times, my municipal pressure would sag. With the pump, the membrane sees proper pressure, so production stays predictable and the pure-to-waste ratio is better than any non-pumped system I've used at this address. At the faucet, the stream is strong and consistent. The tank refills quickly enough that I don't feel like I have to ration. I connected the blue line to a refrigerator about 15 feet away, and the pump's pressure keeps the fridge's solenoid happy. Ice comes out clear, and the indoor dispenser doesn't dribble like it used to on a gravity-fed setup. I ran a few simple tests and lived with it for day-to-day tasks. For the first week, I tracked how quickly the system recovered after draining 1 full tank for cooking pasta. It took noticeably less time to get back to a full tank compared to my old, pumpless RO. I put a cheap sound meter next to the cabinet and saw that the pump's hum was low enough that it blended with ambient kitchen noise once the doors were closed. Not silent, but not intrusive. On taste, I did a blind pour with my partner. Bottled spring water, filtered pitcher water, and the iSpring water. The RCC7P-AK won twice and tied once. Subjective, yes, but telling. I also tested the small stuff. Instant oatmeal with the new water doesn't carry the faint chlorine note I'd stopped noticing in tap water until it disappeared. And rinsing produce leaves no chemical smell on my hands. Rice cooks up fluffier and less starchy. These are little quality of life improvements that add up. My specific use case is a family kitchen where we make coffee twice a day and fill reusable bottles for school and work. I needed something that could keep up with a morning rush and still handle a stock pot on the weekend. I also wanted cleaner water going to the fridge without adding a second filter. This system has been able to do that. I filled a large carafe back to back and still had enough in reserve for cooking. On evenings where we fill every bottle in the house, the pump kicks in, the tank catches up, and by the time we're cleaning up in the kitchen, the faucet is back to full strength. There's no scheduling around slow filtration. There are a couple of smart touches I've come to appreciate. The transparent first stage is more than cosmetic. It's a built-in reminder of when to change the sediment filter based on your actual water, not a calendar guess. The automatic pressure switches that control the pump do exactly what they should. They protect the pump, stop it when the tank is full, and start it when you draw water. It's set and forget. The universal power adapter is nice if you ever move or have a different electrical setup. And the faucet's mounting hardware being accessible from the top made the install less of a circus act for me. This isn't perfect. You give up a chunk of under-sink space to the manifold, pump, and tank. If your cabinet is already crowded, measure carefully and be honest about what's going to fit. The pump is quiet, but not inaudible. Placing a thin foam pad under the pump bracket and the tank helped keep vibrations from telegraphing through the cabinet. The system uses 1/4-inch tubing, so if you're used to a high-flow 3/8 faucet, this will feel a touch gentler, though the pump masks most of that difference. Maintenance is real but reasonable. The pre-filters and post-filters are on a cycle that depends on your water, and I keep a towel and a shallow tray handy when I spin off housings to catch a little water. I also learned to give each tube a firm push and pull to confirm it's locked in after any filter swap. And you'll run wastewater. There's no getting around that with RO, but with the pump assisting the membrane, it's more efficient than the pumpless units I've used in the same home. Where this shines is the combination of confidence and taste. I reached for a bottle a few times out of habit, and then stopped buying them entirely. The water coming out of the dedicated faucet is clean, consistent, and pleasant enough that I drink more of it. Coffee tastes like the beans I paid for. Tea tastes like tea, not the plumbing. My fridge makes clear ice without me swapping an extra filter every few months. When guests ask for water, I'm not debating which source is good enough. If you're in a place with iffy water pressure, or you've tried RO before and didn't love the taste, or you want a whole family solution that actually keeps up with daily life, this is an easy recommendation. If you're extremely tight on space under the sink, if you don't have a convenient outlet nearby, or if you want a zero-maintenance approach, something simpler might make more sense. For me, the balance of performance, taste, and reliability is exactly what I was looking for, and I don't see myself going back to a pitcher or a basic 2-stage filter. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe and tell me what you want to see tested next in the comments.